Am I? So, okay, keep the door shut. I'm on right now. Oh, hey guys, it's Joel with CoreWare. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most exciting topics that you could ever imagine. Taxes. We're talking about taxes today. This is going to be so fun. So today we have with us Sasha and Jordan from Avalara. And we've got a really good relationship with them. We have got some really deep integrations that can help you stay on top of your taxes. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves because I don't want to butcher who they are. And I'm not really great with that. I can't even tell you who I am. So we'll start with Sasha because I've been working closer with Sasha than I have with Jordan. Today's the first day I've met Jordan. I'm just joking. I'm just joking, Jordan. I know you. Sasha, can you carry it away? Tell us who you guys are and tell us actually you personally, and then tell us what Avalara is and what Avalara can do for our customers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joel. And as a great point, Benjamin Franklin always said that the only certain things in life are death and taxes. So that's what brings us here today. But I'm Sasha Armour and the sales executive at Avalara, and I'll be the one working with our CoreWare customers interested in the Avalara integration. I've been with Avalara for a little more than 3 years. And before the wonderful world of sales tax, I worked in hospitality. So I really bring that approach. I love helping people. I find taxes to be a huge headache in life. So anything we can do to help solve that headache so you can focus more on the important things of life, such as running your business, that's really my objective whenever I speak with everyone.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Joel. I am Jordan. I am the Inside Strategic Manager, Alliance Manager here at Avalara. I've been here about 5 years now, and I am the point of contact for all things partner related, any resources in that end to help grow partnerships here. And I will be Sasha's wing woman today.
All right.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I've got too many screens and my cursor gets mixed up. I've got a screen right here. And when I try to go over, I can't. I got to go under, right? I know it sounds weird, so I'm trying to unmute myself and I can't. But you guys are doing great. Again, I've known these people for about 45 minutes. No. We've been working closely together for the past couple of weeks for this webinar. And Sasha, can you tell us I know you've got a slide presentation ready to go. Can you tell us what that's going to show our customers?
Absolutely. So for today's discussion, we're going to talk a little bit about why sales tax matters to businesses. From there, we can discuss a little bit on when you actually need to collect, this little thing referred to as Nexus. And then we'll talk about different ways that your company can manage the sales tax compliance process, really streamlined down into 5 easy steps, and then some additional tips on streamlining that. We'll leave it open for questions. Please drop them in the chat as we present, and we can talk about those. And then, Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your team was also going to show a little bit on how Avalara works within CoreWare.
Yeah, at the very end, we're going to have Colt, which I don't even know if Colt's watching right now. I told him we were going to be on here early. So if he wanted to come up, yeah, he just showed up. So he's going to be waiting for us. We can't hear you, Colt. So I'm going to keep you there until it's time to bring you in. But when you guys are done, we're going to bring Colt in to show you the integration on the Core Force side. So you guys carried away. We've got some people in the chat from CoreWare, and I know Jordan and Sasha will be monitoring that as well. So any questions we don't get to, we will absolutely get to in a follow-up email, because this is going to be a replay, and millions and millions of people, I'm sure, will be watching this. So guys, no pressure, but take it off. And I'm going to take myself off the screen and then put your presentation up. Is that okay, Sasha?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. We'll go ahead and get this started then. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Avalara, you may have seen our commercials on television, the Avalara, but a little bit about us. We've been around since 2004, so for 20 years now. And in Avalara, we do have more than 30,000 customers, and can certainly assist customers within the United States for tax compliance, but also have a global presence. We also have more than 1,200 partner integrations such as CoreWare. So that's a lovely thing. So if you are using additional software with CoreWare. Ideally, we're going to be able to help you out in all those instances. And now I'll pass that over to Jordan to take us off on why sales tax matters.
Awesome. So first up, let's review why sales tax matters, okay? Go ahead to my next slide. So as you can see here, states rely heavily on the sales tax revenue. It makes up almost half of their income. So if you look, it's a whopping 47%. Okay. Now, so 3 in 4 businesses think that if they were to be audited, it is at least somewhat likely that the auditor would find mistakes. So I'll bet the auditors are even more confident that they'll find something. But wait, there's more. So the tax compliance landscape is really hard to navigate. There are a lot of pieces to it, and most of these variations across different parts of the country and the world. So in fact, there are over 13,000 jurisdictions in the US alone. And just last year only, there were over 100,000 updates to tax rules.
All right, so now let's talk a little bit about Nexus, what that means, and when you should be collecting taxes. We use this term a lot at Avalara, but when you're a business, it all comes down to Nexus. So what is Nexus? That is just the definition of what that connection is between a taxing jurisdiction, such as a state, and an entity, your business. And there's lots of various types of Nexus. So most businesses are familiar with physical Nexus, and that's if you have an office in a state, remote employees, even if you're holding inventory in a state, or if you cross state lines, if you're going to a trade show. So other physical things can happen with your business, but that's essentially where you have boots on the ground. Then there's economic Nexus, and that's something that is relatively new since that came into action in 2018. So with that, that's basically based on your sales volume in the form of revenue or order volume if you're making sales across different state lines. So with that, you could trigger that economic Nexus. And there's a few other ways that we also see that aren't quite as commonly known, such as click-through Nexus. That's when an out-of-state business can establish click-through Nexus when an in-state business receives a commission for referring a certain amount of sales to an out-of-state seller through something such as a website link. So hence the name click-through. There's affiliate Nexus. This is basically when an out-of-state business has an affiliate location within a state. The definition of affiliates can range state by state, so it all depends on the type of relationship that they have. And then there's also marketplace Nexus. So this is when a marketplace, such as eBay or Amazon, may be required to collect and remit tax if it operates its business in a state and provides a platform, customer service, or payment for that business. And digging a little deeper into economic Nexus, as we know that CoreWare is an e-commerce platform for you to sell your products online, imagine this will probably come up more frequently for your businesses. So with that, every state determines their economic threshold. So that means the rules can vary state to state. As you can see in this map here, some states have a threshold of $500,000, where some might be as low as $100,000. Sometimes it can include transaction count. Others don't have that. There are some states that don't even have any sort of sales tax nexus. So it's important to pay attention to all those nuances as you're selling across state lines. So some additional activities that can trigger that as you think about things that you're conducting on the day-to-day. So think about if your business has multiple locations across different states, if you have sales team members that go to trade shows, or how you're marketing or doing your web advertising. Know that remote sales or even remote employees, as a lot of businesses have started to hire more remote employees ever since the pandemic. All right,
perfect. Now that we discussed the various challenges businesses have managing sales tax compliance, let's talk about some simple steps you can take to streamline that process. So once you understand where you have established nexus, so that's whether if it's physical, economics, or other nexus types, you need to get registered. Upon getting registered, you now have a requirement to begin collecting taxes. Trying to calculate the correct amount of tax can be rather difficult, and we'll take a deeper dive into this in a bit. So next, if you're making any sales to exempt entities, so that's resellers, distributors, manufacturers, etc., you'll need to keep track of your exemption certificates and ensure they're valid and current. And lastly, you have to file tax returns in these states and remit the sales tax liability to the tax authority in a timely manner, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or annually. While this slide makes these steps look so simple, we all know there's a lot that has to happen in each step to ensure compliance is maintained. I was at an event recently and we did a similar presentation to this. And my colleague said, "Then you get registered." Someone in the audience laughed out loud, then said, "It isn't just that easy." I appreciate the honesty. I myself, a few years ago, when talking about how complex sales tax is, we use a picture of an iceberg. So at the tip of the iceberg, we talked about the sales tax, but underneath the water, there's so much more to worry about, which includes law changes, exemption certificates, having to get registered in different states, which of course all have different registration forms, filing and sales tax returns, which again, every state has different returns, filings, and frequencies. Understanding taxability, which we just touched on a bit more. Okay, so the first step in managing sales tax compliance is understanding your nexus footprint, which again is where you must collect and remit sales tax. It's important to take a look at your business activities and how they can trigger a nexus obligation. So physical nexus is definitely the most obvious and easy to identify. This could be where you have employees, where those employees travel, such as sales reps soliciting businesses in other states, going to trade shows, employees performing services in other states, or in where you store your inventory. But now you also need to consider where you're selling to inside of your current states where you're registered. Are you hitting the revenue thresholds or selling over the transition amounts? Again, the rule of thumb is 100K in revenue or 200 separate transactions. Also, as you consider now sales channels or go-to-market strategies, you must confirm how they can impact your nexus.
All right, so once you understand where you need to be registered, the next step is to get registered. Each state's registration forms can be different. Generally, states want you to get registered within 30 to 60 days of exceeding an economic nexus threshold. So the list on the right shows you the typical items and information needed as you get registered, just to name a few.
So step 3, you calculate the correct sales tax amount. There's a few other variables to be mindful of when collecting the right rate. You need to understand the taxability of the product or the service you're selling in the jurisdictions you're doing business. For example, gun safes are non-taxable in 10 states, fully taxable in 35, and in Virginia, they are non-taxable if they cost below $1,500 and fully taxable if they cost over $1,500. You need to be able to capture sales tax holidays applicable to the invoice. Some states, such as Louisiana, Mississippi, have a Second Amendment sales tax holidays where the items you're selling will be non-taxable for a limited period of time. You need to understand the sourcing rules based on the states. Finally, you need to make sure you're calculating the correct tax rates based on the different jurisdictions where the business is taking place.
Next is exempt sales. So businesses can be exempt from paying sales tax for a variety of reasons, which could be for a specific instance or purchase. You could be selling to an exempt organization, such as government or nonprofit, or the item could be sold as intended for resale. Ultimately, if you're not charging tax on a sale when you typically would, you'll need to collect an exemption certificate. Like the rest of compliance we've discussed, there's not one exemption form for all. Exemption forms all a little different as you go state by state, so it's important that you're receiving the appropriate form that's filled out correctly and the information is accurate. If you're missing forms or if they're expired. For example, Florida has a 1-year shelf life on their forms. They must be renewed annually. It could be certainly costly. Some folks view each certificate as currency because a missing form could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in an audit. Last, regarding economic nexus thresholds, many are based on gross sales, which does include exempt sales. So as you're reviewing your current exemption process, think about the various employees and departments also involved with that. So how could you describe your process? Is it thorough and repeatable? And have you ever had a negative audit or trouble finding a certificate? Have there been any customer service issues around exemption management? So exemption certificates are big sticking points in audit nowadays, especially as a taxable item is being sold to an exempt entity will not be providing sales tax revenue for a state. So if you're not appropriately collecting the certificates, liability falls on you as the seller. And maintaining forms can be time consuming. As a lot of folks worked remotely through COVID, we've heard it's very hard for finance and credit teams to share exemption data, whether it's during customer onboarding or for repeat customers. So there's not an easy way to access a customer certificate if employees weren't able to physically access it with them in a filing cabinet or folder. So ultimately, it's important to ensure that you have your exemption documents all on file and in order.
So now the last and final step in managing sales tax compliance is the filing and remittance process. Once sales tax is collected, those funds need to be remitted back to the jurisdictions. Like mentioned earlier, sales tax is a pass-through tax. So once you collect it, you send it to the respective state or jurisdiction. There's also several nuances when it comes to sales tax remittance. That includes paper versus online remittance, varying filing frequencies, and filing in local jurisdictions in places like Colorado or Louisiana. With those varying dates, it's important to ensure you're filing and remitting your sales tax on time. Each state has its own respective form, which can make the filing process much harder. So when you're evaluating your current Nexus obligation, step 1, be sure to understand where you're registered to file and remit and understand the due dates, filing frequency, changes, etc. It's also important to review your business activities as you may have to register, collect, and file in additional states. Be prepared for expansion and always loop back to step 1 to ensure you are maintaining compliance.
All right, and that brings us to Avalara's tax compliance suite. And with that, that's where CoreWare has worked hard. Colt, thank you very much for building the integration to Avalara's sales tax engine. So that means that we can determine your tax rates in real time. And with that, we can also support your business on their journey. We have some customers that really just need that accurate tax rate. We have others that may need some additional support from things such as tax research. If you're leveraging a lot of time Googling tax laws online, that exemption management, if you do work with a lot of exempt entities, that can also work hand in hand with that tax engine. And then finally, if we are determining tax for you in CoreWare, if we have your sales and use tax information within our tax engine, that means that we can file and remit your sales tax returns on your behalf to each respective jurisdiction. And then one other component to mention as well is that Avalara is a certified service provider with a streamlined sales tax program. So what that means is that there are 24 states you see on this map right here that are part of this program. If you qualify for it, essentially meaning if you have economic nexus in these states, then the states would actually pay for you to register in the state and have Avalara do that for you. They would pay for your Avalara transactions in that state, and they pay for Avalara to remit returns on your behalf. So a nice way that you can also leverage using Avalara and have Uncle Sam help pay for some of that for you. All right, so now before we pass it over to Colt, we'll just see if there's any questions that have come up in the chat.
No questions as of yet. We do have some that I sent over that we had collected.
Okay.
If you want to, I'm sorry. I know I emailed them very late. Well, I was literally, I told her I'm going to get these to you today. That was like 5 months ago. But no, I'm just joking. So I know that there with firearms, Sasha,
Mhm.
it's a weird thing, right? For different states. So
Mhm.
some states you're going to tax firearms differently than you would say accessories, and some accessories you don't even tax because of certain I don't know. I read where one of them was like a gun safe because it's
Mhm.
safety equipment.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
go into depth of more of that? Because I think a lot of these questions, we know that you guys handle things under the hood,
Mhm.
right? Along with us, but I think just kind of pointing out some maybe nightmare stories that you guys have dealt with, like where as a business really just dropped the ball, and it's like, my gosh, man, all kinds of things went wrong because all these hidden taxes that they didn't know about. Or I mean, just kind of go into some practical examples of why you guys are the solution that our customers need.
Absolutely. So it's a great point. There is a lot of varying taxability, especially within the firearms industry. So every single state may tax that what you're selling slightly differently, from your firearms, ammunitions. We talked a little bit about gun safes. So when you're using Avalara, we have what we call a tax code, and that allows us to pick up the granular taxability of what you're selling based on wherever you're selling with that. So we have a lot of content around that specifically, so we can make sure that we're taxing correctly for each state. But some nightmare situations that we have seen happen are that businesses that maybe are taxing in states where they shouldn't be, say that you're selling an exempt item, well, then you have a customer service problem because the customers are getting upset that they're paying for tax and they shouldn't be. But conversely, let's say you're not taxing because you think that what you're selling is non-taxable statewide, and suddenly you're in a new state. Well, if you find out later that you should be paying tax, you are eating essentially the cost of that and paying out of your pocket to that respective jurisdiction if you did get caught on that, and possibly some vast penalties and interest.
So I think that this question right here kind of goes along with what you just said. Scott says, if I go to a gun show outside my home state, who do I pay taxes to? I'm in Arizona, do shows in Texas. So that's basically what you guys do, right? You're gonna know where they're selling something. You're gonna know what taxes are required.
Right. So if you are going to say you're going to travel to show and you're going to sell items at the trade show there, as you're passing us that information, we're going to look at things like your ship from and ship to. That's very important on basically establishing where tax is taking place. So we'll base that rate based on where you're actually transacting that, and then can help remittances from there. So each use case.
So usually gun shows, they'll go personally. So somebody from Arizona will physically take their stock to a gun show in Texas. So how would that be handled? That is kind of a fascinating question, because you really don't think. You just think, hey, I'm going to sell this and you're going to give me money. I'm going to give you a gun. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yes. That with that specific scenario, I'd recommend connecting directly with the jurisdiction that you're selling in, just to understand their specific rules. I believe there are some states that will give temporary registrations for when you're doing traveling shows. So it'd be worthwhile to check to see, one, can you get a temporary registration for that? Or do you need to actually register in Texas and then just remit essentially based on when you have revenue there, or if you go there annually and so on. Some states are very funny. Once you are registered there, they'll want you to continue filing $0 returns if they still say that you regularly visit there. They are very happy to start taking your money. It's really hard to deregister with them.
Wow, that's scary. All right, let me look through those questions again.
Yes.
So yeah, you did mention, by the way, I am in Louisiana, and that's probably the only thing that I'm proud of, is that we do have that Second Amendment holiday. It's really a big deal, guys. Second Amendment is kind of an important deal. I'm sorry, my camera's shaking. I'm so excited about this. So how do sales tax holidays work, and when are they typically applicable for firearms purchases? So we know that those two states that you mentioned have those holidays. can you go into some detail about this? And I'll throw this question up on the screen so everybody else can see it.
Yeah, so part of Avalara, every time that you have a transaction coming through and CoreWare reaches out to Avalara and we return that rate, one of the determination points that we are going to look at are if there are any sales tax holidays applicable to what you're selling. So we're going to look at where you're doing business. So if you are transacting over a sales tax holiday within Louisiana, and we see that based on what you're selling, because we've mapped those codes that we talked about a little bit earlier, we're going to see that based on where it's taking place, when it's taking place, and what you're selling. So we have all that logic built in, and we return that accurately on your invoices, and we do it in a sub-second.
Gotcha. I also have another question.
Yes.
So that everybody can enjoy this. You probably covered this. I swear I was listening as best I could. I was also responding to other messages elsewhere, and I'm literally like a squirrel. So if something comes along, what are we doing here, by the way? There you go. There's your question. Thank you, Jordan. You got it.
Let's see here. Is that
what should a retailer know about conducting online sales across state lines, especially after the 2018 South Dakota versus Wayfair decision?
Yes, a retailer should know that they should be proactively monitoring their sales as they're selling across state lines, especially since 2018. If you haven't been actively checking that, a best practice would be to do a Nexus study. So we have that available. You can look back to the beginning of Wayfair, or you can look at the past 12 months. But it's important to understand that, because if you did cross it, say in 2019, and have not been collecting or remitting, you may even have past tax obligations. But with that, you want to proactively measure that. Each state, as we talked about earlier, it has slightly different rules. So it's important to constantly track that. We do have Nexus tracking built into our software for you. So if you are using Avalara, you are going to have a heat map that'll tell you once you cross 80% of a threshold, as well as once you completely cross that. So you will always have eyes on that using our services.
Perfect. And I know I'm surprising you with these questions, Sasha. Jordan told me to be hard on you, so that's what I'm doing.
Yes,
okay?
I did.
Hey, this is a fascinating, it's not a question, but this is really, shows you how they make this industry jump through hoops just to conduct business. So Chris says, funny thing, I'm an FFL on the East Coast. My FFL is in Virginia, and when I do shows out of state, I'm required by the ATF to transfer my products to an in-state FFL. I can assist in selling those. I think if push came to shove, the in-state FFL would be required to pay the sales tax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good question.
Probably, huh? Because it's being sold under that FFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something that Jordan and I can look at into with our tax expert team. I think that one's a good one. And if I don't know the answers, fortunately, we have a great team of content experts that we can always check with on that.
Right. And obviously, this is a very popular question on any solution that we, promote. How much does Avalara cost?
Absolutely. Avalara is a usage-based cost model. So we look at the total number of completed invoices that you have on an annual basis, because we have annual subscriptions. We're only going to include in that count your Nexus states. So if you haven't crossed over the line in other states, that's not a concern. We'll still track it for you. So really, the costs can vary. Our smallest package tier starts at 1,000 transactions, and it goes all the way into the multi-millions. So it can be very wide as far as what that looks like. You can really start on the lower end, being a couple $100 monthly, and really go up, and especially if you add a lot of additional services. And then similarly, I think the customers that we've spoken to so far within the CoreWare realm also are interested in returns filing. So very similarly, we look at the total number of returns we're filing on your behalf and charge based off of that.
Okay, by the way, trademark Core Realm. I own that now. Hey, so I thank you, Chris. I've got another one here. And this is what, anytime we do a webinar on anything, I like the practicality of the material, because we can get up here and we can sound smart. We can say, we can do all these fancy things, but We just want to know, a lot of people out there, they just want to know, hey, I'm in the trenches. What does it look like in the trenches with me? You know what I mean? So this is a good question. What are the most common errors firearms retailers make in sales tax compliance, and how can they be avoided? I know you talked about Nexus. Can you cover some more errors that you've seen firearms retailers make?
Outside of Nexus, I think the other pitfall that we see is just getting the accurate tax rate. We see a lot of companies that are either just using tax tables, so they can't get that granular taxability on all the different jurisdictions or the exact items that they're selling. So really, they don't make it easy on you guys, that's for sure. But yeah, that's just getting the correct tax rates. And how it can be avoided. Obviously, automation makes that easiest for you because you don't have to be sales tax experts, as well as if you're using a zip code based rate table, those typically won't always be 100% accurate. They usually have the average of all the jurisdictional rates that are within that one single zip code. So that's why it's very important to have that actual rooftop accuracy. There's some fun states like Colorado where you can have neighbors next to each other, same zip code, different tax rates. Ooh. Was that me? Can you still, I can't hear you, Joel.
Everything I said would have solved every problem humanity has ever faced in the history of everything. I can't believe you guys didn't hear that. Hey, no, I came back earlier because of this question right here. Jordan, you said something about how many jurisdictions are there? Like 13,000?
13,000, yes.
And how many changes to tax regulations are there every year?
Well, just last year alone, it was over 100,000.
100,000. Okay, so this is a really good question. Thanks, Teddy. A lot of people want me to be muted, but sometimes I have to talk.
Oh yes. How do we track all those tax changes that affect the firearms industry? Avalara has a team of hundreds of researchers, and that's all their job is to stay up to date on the latest tax rules and changes. So not the most exciting job to me, but certainly grateful for those team members that do that for us.
Yes.
So you guys are literally, you have to be watching this constantly.
Yes.
That is insanity, right? Insanity. Okay, so here's another one. And we may not have an answer, guys. I'm just throwing it up here. I sell products on Gunbroker. If I sell there, they collect and pay local sales tax and bill them to me on a monthly basis. Can Avalara just bill for products I sell on my website and shows?
All right, so it sounds like based on this, Gunbroker is the marketplace.
Yes.
And they're collecting and remitting on Chris's behalf. So basically, just want to know if Avalara can just bill for the products that you sell on the website and shows. If you're setting up an Avalara account with us, we can just set up for you essentially whatever you're transacting within CoreWare. If you are using a marketplace, states do have a place on your sales tax returns where they want you to note your marketplace sales. So that's something that you can certainly just import into your Avalara console so that you can have that for your reporting, which would be important there. And even though Gunbroker is your marketplace, it really depends on the scenario, but there are some marketplaces that would still, if you're selling on them, it would still also trigger those economic nexus thresholds. So that's something that you would also want to track.
Gotcha. I have no idea what you just said, but hopefully,
it sounded
Chris.
It sounded good.
Hopefully Chris understood. Let's see what we've got here. We've got Daniel. Will a core store integration be developed anytime soon so we don't have to manually upload sales to Avalara, assuming they are filling? Okay. As far as I know, I think we're working on this. I don't know for sure. I'm going to get, that's what Spartan's question was earlier, and I'm going to get an answer for that. And if we find out a little bit later, well, I know we're going to find out. just so you guys know, Ezra was supposed to be here today. Yeah, I'm selling him out. Hopefully he's not watching. Ezra was supposed to be here. No, he has been so busy lately. He's been on the road. He's probably flown more in the past this past year than I've flown probably in my entire life. So he is constantly on the road. He's always working hard for our customers. So he has the answers. I don't, but we will absolutely get those answers for you and figure this out. So what we've got is my email address down here that I'm going to scroll across the bottom of the screen. So you guys just email me those questions that we may not be able to answer. And we'll also have the answers in the description of the video later on. So if you go watch the replay on YouTube, we'll provide those answers there as well. Hey, so right now, I know we've got a couple more questions coming in, but I'm going to bring in Colt. Colt's been working on this. Colt, I'm sorry. I snuck up on you, didn't I? Here you go. Are you ready, Colt? Just shake your head. Okay. I'm so sorry, man. I thought I crafted a message here in Discord and didn't hit enter.
It's all good. I'm ready. The message at the bottom tells me to be ready at any time. So
there you go. So Colt's been working with Sasha and the team at Avalara to get all this stuff worked out. And Colt, you're not completely clear on when, if we're gonna have a core store integration, right?
Right. I as far as I'm aware, we're planning on it. I think development has already been done on it. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But we'll get confirmation for that for sure.
Gotcha. These are questions that I should know, but I don't. And don't sue me because it's a little too easy these days. Sasha, can you tell us how it's been to work with Colt? Because we've got an issue with Colt here at CoreWare.
Oh, man.
Has it been okay? Has he been a good coworker?
Absolutely. I love working with Colt. He's very responsive and we always have fun conversations.
Wait, you said very responsive? All right, now that's not cool, Colt. You ignore me like hours before I was like, hey man, duck, they're attacking. And he gets back to me like 3 days later. He's like, what? So here we got another question coming in. How does the integration Avalara handle refunds?
Ooh, good question.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, with refunds with Avalara, if you have that posting, essentially that would post within CoreWare, pass that to Avalara, and so we'd see that refund. And then if you already, say, paid sales tax on one monthly return, then we would see that on the subsequent return for that to adjust and make even.
Yeah, and essentially on the Core4 side of things, it's just treating it like any other refund. We would trigger that if you had the Avalara integration set up and everything.
Awesome. So obviously, I've got another question. Where's my question? What are some best practices for documenting exempt sales, such as sales to law enforcement agencies?
Yes. So each state and jurisdiction will have different documents available. So with that, if you do need to have some guidance, we do have some tools that you can have for that. So sometimes, for example, a federal government may have a purchase order number or a specific document or a form or a specific letter to give. So each government agency will have a little bit of nuance. I know government and law enforcement are especially fun because they don't always have that exact certificate that a lot of other exempt entity types do. But that's something that we can also follow up with some additional information in the recap as well.
He's muted again.
I gave all the jewels that I'm just wasting right now. My gosh.
If I could read lips.
Can you hear me now? You can hear me now, though. We've got stuff rolling in right now. Maybe this was the answer here. I don't know what it says. Maybe this was answered with an earlier question, but had someone walk in and distract me. this whole story. For gun broker purchases that are imported into CoreForce, how does Avalara Read handle those, especially since gun broker captures taxes on their end? I think we already handled that.
Mhm. Yes,
So
you
Teddy,
can-
yeah, we already answered that. So you can go back about 2 minutes and you'll see that answer. Let's see. This is from Martha. Joel, as you know, we just converted to Core. It's actually CoreForce. I'm sorry. How does CoreForce currently handle the sales tax? Is it calculated at the customer's location? That's a great segue into what we're going to be talking about now, which is Colt and the integration with CoreForce. Colt, do you know how to share your
Absolutely.
screen?
I'm going to click this present button and share screen.
Make sure you
Now,
hit
if I
the
can
right
remember how
one,
to do one.
or else it will shut the whole internet down.
Yeah, let me stop this
You're
real
good.
quick so I can do it because it says just one screen. So I'm going to move y'all over here.
Hey, no one's going to see your screens until we put them in the. They'll show up in the green room first, so you'll be able to see those before they come in. Hey,
Okay,
Jordan,
cool.
we appreciate your time, Jordan. Jordan, you're from North Carolina, correct?
Yes.
We're actually located in North Carolina. Have you ever visited
Raleigh?
our office?
No, I
No,
haven't.
we're in Columbus.
Oh, nice. I've never
Yeah.
been.
How far is Columbus from Raleigh?
That's a good question. Sasha, you told me?
The-
It was
Columbus
Columbia
from-
to Columbus. I could have sworn
Yeah,
you
I think
told
so.
us.
Yeah.
I think
You
about
don't
3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, 3
I'm
hours.
not, Jordan. You don't have to worry about ever meeting me there. I'm not
Okay.
there. I'm in Louisiana. So, Sasha, do you currently live in North Carolina, or are you still in Michigan?
I am in North Carolina. So
Okay.
I think I mapped it out because one of these days we're just going to show up on the CoreForce
Yes.
doorstep and say hi to.
You need to. We usually have if Ezra was here, he would talk about this, but we usually have a little gathering every year, and it's sort of a company gathering, but we sometimes bring in some partners and customers. So if we do that this year, and which I'm hoping we will, I'm sure we'll be sending you guys.
Man, I really hope we do.
Yeah, last year we did it at the at a vineyard. It was really, really nice. I mean, it was just Colt, were you there?
Yeah, I was there. Fun
Was
times.
that not awesome? That was really it was just an intimate
really
get together. The surroundings were just beautiful. North Carolina's beautiful. I didn't know North Carolina was that beautiful. So
it's
Colt,
actually 4 hours, so now we know it's 4 hours away.
Okay, that's plenty to get away if we know you guys are coming. Hey, so Colt, did I smoke screen enough to get you time to?
Yep. Perfect.
So are you ready to?
I'm ready.
You ready to throw this up there?
Yep. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the CoreForce standard and basic view first, and then I'm going to switch over and show the CoreForce Advanced Enterprise. They're very similar. It's just to make it easier for people that or what they're used to seeing and everything. So right here we have the CoreForce basic and standard view. So essentially, now this is going to be pretty quick. So all you have to do is go into your site defaults, which is under setup and site defaults here. You'll see a little Avalara tab right here. Just click to enable. If you don't have an account, we have a little handy dandy sign up for Avalara here link that you can just click to go ahead and get that taken care of. I'm going to cover some test credentials in here. So this is the credentials you get from Avalara. As soon as I click out of that, it's going to say, Avalara connection works. It goes your company code in here. You got a default freight tax code. If you need to see the default, we have a little thing here that'll pop up and show the list of all of them. This also lets you choose whether you want to just calculate and not report. So once because you can, I believe, Sasha, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can get sandbox credentials, right, to set that up to test it if you need to, make sure it's all working for you so that you don't do that.
That's usually what we like to do with our new customers, so you can test first.
Okay, that's what I thought I was remembering right. So that way you can sit there and not have that to commit. And then when you're ready to go live, you just update the credentials there, click commit documents, and save it, and you're good to go. Some of the other things that so that's it for the setup. Now there are some other stuff that I'm going to jump over to the advanced enterprise level to show you that back end. So as you can see for advanced enterprise, it's literally the same setup. Let's see. I'm going to show this one instead. So same thing. You go in here, add your credentials. It's the same exact process. Click out of it. Oh, I logged out, of course. Took too long, Joel. There we go.
Sasha, you can be honest now. We're seeing it live. It's been horrible working with him, hasn't it?
No, he's always been there. That's we know.
Sasha, I know he's a really good guy. Colt's one of my favorite people in the world.
We put our technology partners through the ringer too, because we make sure everything's tested and before officially certifying. So
right,
through a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a list for the freight tax codes. You click on that, and it'll show the list of the different ones. So you can just copy these in here. If you click on one, it'll automatically apply it in there for you. Also, if you need a shortcut to the admin console, we have that right here as well. Just click that link, it'll open up a new tab. So that's essentially it for the basic setup. It's pretty simplistic. Now there are more fine-tuned things that you can go into. For instance, you can go into categories and set your text codes here. We have text codes here, a list here as well. So you can go down, you can do a search, filter it. You can click on here. You click on that, it'll automatically apply, so you don't have to copy and paste and all that extra steps. So that'll to this category. So like for instance, if you want to go back to it and set the one for specifically for pistols. I can't remember what. I don't think it's pistols. It's kind of handguns or something like that. But you find out to whichever category you want to apply it to, click it, and it'll apply it right there for you. That's on the category level. Then you can also go into the product level for specific products, because there can be specific products that are unique, of course. And under the product that you're looking at, under the data tab here, you can scroll down, and there's the Avalara tax code here. Again, there's a little list here. You can go through there, click it, bam, it adds it to it, and you just save it, and that'll apply that tax code for that specific product. Now, Sasha, I think that was the only 3 real sections. I can't remember if there was anything else. I know it feels working on this forever, but it's been a minute since I looked at it. But I believe it's just category and products, and then the setup, and that's essentially all they need.
Right. Yeah, the setup really is simple. And on the Avalara side, we need customers to tell us where they're collecting sales tax. They'll go through that tax code mapping process that's done directly within CoreForce. And then from there, you're going to test and make sure everything looks the way you want it to. And then you can select a date that you're ready to go live, and boom, you flip it on. We're calculating tax.
Absolutely.
Wow, you said that with a smile. That's scary. We'll collect their own taxes. Hey, did you have more to cover, Colt? Because you weren't here that long, so we're gonna need more from you.
No, I can make something up, I guess.
No.
See.
We don't want to do that. The whole world's doing that lately. We want to be real here.
But no, that's pretty much as simple as it gets as far as the setup and everything, and you'll start seeing it calculating in the checkout process. So,
can I put you on the spot, Colt?
Sure, maybe.
If we have to go back to this later, that's fine. I do know that some of the customers we've spoken with have maybe a handful of exemption certificates, but really not enough where they feel like they need to automate that part of their compliance. For customers that do that and aren't storing their documents in the Avalara, we have a concept of an entity use code that would be entered within the CoreForce section. Do you have the capabilities to show where that's entered into the customer profile?
Oh, I'd have to probably follow up on that one. So I'm
Okay.
not sure off the top of my head, unfortunately.
That's all right. I know I put you on the spot,
Yeah.
and I believe that's called out in the user guide that you created for us as well.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where that part's at. I'd have to follow up and see. We'll get an answer for that.
Colt, no offense, but I'm going to put a question up here. It's going to cover your face. Hey, this is Candace. This is the question
anybody.
that you guys should be happy to answer, Jordan and Sasha.
Mhm.
If I'm already integrated with TaxJar, how would I migrate over to Avalara?
Absolutely. So if you're interested in changing over to Avalara, with that, we would just assist you with getting your account set up. We do frequently have customers leave from TaxJar or other tax vendors over to Avalara. So if that's something you would want to time with something such as when your subscription ends with them, I'll recommend starting to speak with us a month or two prior to that date so that we can go through, make sure that we have everything scoped correctly based on your requirements and get you started with implementation. That way you can select a cutover date. I've got some customers that will keep it pretty close to dates. Others want to have maybe like a month, just not as concerned, but they want to make sure that they can suss out any additional testing that goes along the way. But yeah, we're happy to look at that for you, Candace. And I see my name scrolling along the bottom there. So
yes, so
Your name
please,
is-
if you're interested, please email, reach out to Sasha. She could definitely have those intros so you know who to go to. So definitely talk to Sasha.
I just realized I coughed and I wasn't on mute. I'm sorry, y'all. I was just in la la land. Hey, there was another question I was going to ask. Wow, this is so weird. Oh, so I believe, Sasha, because nobody's brought this up, but there will be a giveaway. I think you're going to do that drawing in the next week or so, because we're trying to do everything legit, right?
Absolutely.
We're legit people, so we're trying to do everything legit. So Sasha's going to be doing a drawing from everyone that attended for a Yeti cooler. And no, Colt, you and I cannot win.
Yes, we appreciate Yeah, we appreciate everyone's time and attendance, as we know that tax isn't always the most exciting topic, but can certainly be a pain point. So definitely want to give something out nice to say thank you for. I wish I had a Yeti cooler for everyone here. Unfortunately, it will be a drawing for just one, but yes, we will reach out and follow up with the lucky winner to get your address and information.
Yeah. So I wasn't trying to close everything out, even though we are almost at an hour. So I can't believe you guys went this long, because you flew through your slide deck. Everything was just going smooth, and then I guess maybe I started talking and slowed everything up.
I had a lot of great questions too from the attendees.
Yeah, they were really good questions. This was probably one of the most interactive webinars we've done in a while. So we do appreciate everyone's engagement, and these guys, if you're coming to us for recommendations for other people to work with, obviously, we don't, put our name on anything that we don't believe in. So we do believe in these guys. Avalara is a good company. Sasha and Jordan are okay people. And no, we really do. We appreciate our partners and the people that we can integrate with, just to make you guys' life a little bit easier, help you do some things more efficiently. And we're just glad you guys joined us today. We actually had more, and you guys can't see the numbers, but we can see the numbers, the people that are giving the webinar. We actually had more show up than registered. So a lot of you probably saw that last email and said, you know what, I'm diving into this thing. Also, we put the cooler at the top, so that may have been why they joined. But we do appreciate everybody joining us. Do you guys have anything else to cover before we close out?
I think that this
Okay.
is, I think,
Okay.
pretty much covered all of that. We're really excited for the partnership and look forward to getting to know more of the clients that you work with today. And hopefully we can address all of your needs, and look forward to digging into some of these questions as well that we weren't able to answer on this webinar.
Okay. I'm trying to get some stuff here. I can't. Oh, here we go. So we've got another webinar coming up on May 29th. So it's going to be the Ready Aim Hire Precision HR Tactics for the firearms industry. And we're going to be doing that with HR Advisor. So if you guys want to join us, be on the lookout. You'll receive an email. We always send a few emails out to make sure that you know what we're doing, when we're doing it. And if you have issues with HR, you want to streamline your HR process, HR advisors can help out with that. So be sure to join us on May 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern for that. That's the next webinar, right? What's today? The 22nd?
Mhm.
Is that next week?
Yes.
Next week.
Gosh, man, I'm getting old. Like every time I look up, there's like a week has gone by and I'm like, well, you know what they say? The days are long, the years are short. So enjoy those days. Enjoy those long days. Appreciate those long days. And if we can do anything for you, please let us know. We are always here to help. You're welcome, Teddy. Thank you guys so much for the engagement. We really do appreciate it. If we can do anything for you, please let us know. I think with that, we are out of here. I wish I had some closing music, but it's taxes, man. It's best just to shut it off, right? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for
everybody.
having me. Bye.
Bye.